So let's just start here. Let's make the case for not trading Odell Beckham Jr. Mary Kay, if Andrew Berry gives you a call and says, Mary Kay, I'm about to make a trade. It's going to be Odell Beckham for this. Talk me out of it. What are you telling him?
Well, I wrote about this a couple of weeks ago because obviously this is an issue that they really and truly have to deal with this offseason. Now, did they have to deal with it last offseason? No. And whenever we asked Andrew Berry about it last offseason, we pretty much got the same answer. He shut us down on that. And he actually got annoyed by the continuous questions about, are you going to trade Odell Beckham Jr.? But I do think things are different this year. And actually, he probably will be having that conversation with somebody. Maybe not talk me out of it, but I think there will be a phone conversation where he will be actually addressing this topic this year. So if I had to talk him out of it, these are some of the things that I would say. Hey, look what happened when the Bills acquired Stephon Diggs, right? It took them from black and white to Technicolor. They actually almost could have made it to the Super Bowl this year had they not had that dog of a game against the Chiefs. But for the most part, Stephon Diggs really was the engine that made Josh Allen go. It was the guy he needed. He needed Stephon Diggs to take him to the next level as a quarterback. And those two guys were dynamite together. And when you look at Baker Mayfield, he really wasn't 100% dynamite with any one guy. Now, would that guy have been Odell Beckham Jr.? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that once the lights finally came on for Baker Mayfield, that Odell Beckham Jr. would have been the beneficiary of Baker Mayfield suddenly waking up in the Kevin Stefanski offense and figuring it out. And Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt, vice versa, figuring out Baker Mayfield and what to do with him, getting him out on the keepers, giving him more play action, letting him throw more to guys that he felt comfortable with, like a Rashard Higgins. So I really do think that while a lot of people think that Odell Beckham Jr. leaving the lineup freed up Baker Mayfield to become who he did in those last 12 games, in which he threw 20 touchdown passes and only 2 interceptions down the stretch, which is an incredible stat. I think that happened for other reasons, not because Odell left the lineup, but for some of the reasons that we talked about. So I think that those two guys would have been amazing together down the stretch. I think Odell had demonstrated that he was ready to leave it all out on the field every single game and be a superstar receiver. I think that's what he wanted to do. I think he showed that in the Dallas game. So I don't think it was because he was gone. I think it was because of those reasons that they figured out Baker and Baker figured out them. I think they could have used him against the Chiefs in that playoff game. So these are the things that I would tell Andrew if he wanted me to talk him out of it.
Okay, so Andrew's just gotten off the phone with Mary Kay. Now he's dialing up Ellis. Ellis, what are you going to tell him?
It depends how much time I have with them. If it's an elevator pitch, the quick message is this: turn on the Chiefs game, Andrew, my G. You guys were slow. You were unathletic. You got punched in the mouth by defensive backs that were in your receiver's grill, and you had no answer of stretching the field and breaking a play. That's all Odell Beckham Jr. does. Keep him. My long pitch is this. Mary Kay makes a great point about the transformation Baker Mayfield went through without Odell Beckham Jr. And it's really fascinating and quite frankly, a flashpoint moment in his career. I mean, just think of that first quarter in Cincinnati. Odell tears his ACL. Baker Mayfield hasn't completed a pass. I mean, it felt like I remember thinking in my head, I might even lean over to Terry Pluto and said, like, this feels like a hockey goalie situation. Like, pull Baker and just figure this out later. And he just has the yips. This doesn't look right. And then everything changed. And I get why fans correlate Odell leaving with Baker becoming a complete quarterback, but where they go too far, and whether it's Browns fans or just any football commentator in general saying, well, Baker plays better without Odell. I think he became that quarterback without him. It loosened the pressure a little bit, but that doesn't mean that he can become the best quarterback he can be without Odell. I would put it this way. What I saw Baker go through this year and having Odell would be like what a first-year head coach who gets that gig a little too early. Mary Kay can attest to this. Bill Belichick was in Cleveland before he was Bill Belichick of the New England Patriots. Now, I think from what I've read, Mary Kay lived it, but from what I've read, Bill did a better job than, for whatever reason, how that ages. But we'll use someone like Josh McDaniels. He's in Denver. It doesn't go well. I think smart people would all agree that the next head coaching job Josh McDaniels gets is going to go a lot smoother and he'll be ready. So how these two things connect is this. I just don't think Baker was ready to have a player like Odell. He just wasn't that quarterback yet. Odell leaves, Baker matures, blossoms into a calm field reader and operator of a system, and now he's ready for that piece. So now I think you bring Odell Beckham back in, Mr. Andrew Berry, and you see if/when and how Baker can take that next step, throwing to his allocation of B receivers, the Rashard Higgins and Jarvis Landry. We'll call Jarvis Landry a B+ receiver, those nice weapons. But now Baker Mayfield is ready for the A- weapon in Odell Beckham Jr. when he wasn't in 2019 or the first half of 2020. See what it looks like. Watch Baker take that next leap with Odell, and your offense as a whole then goes to the next level with those two.